Well, the first thing I did when KCP kicked it out, I looked at the shot clock. I saw it was had to get it up, at least get up on the rim. Second thing I saw was 3 rims, from being poked in the eye on that previous possession when I drove to the hole and then in transition. So I just aimed for the middle one. I practice enough. I work on, my game, and I was able to the man above, and through a lot of practice, I was able to drain it.
All right, now you're seeing Triple. Friend of the show, Monica McNutt is here. Good to see you, our basketball expert and also expert on appetizers. As we were talking about before we came back, what are some of your favorite? That was a great appetizer. Michael doesn't believe in appetizers as entrees. We learned that from the first part of the show. What is your favorite restaurant appetizer? Mine was, of course, that cast iron garlic shrimp from Capitol Grill. Does one come to mind for you, Monica McNutt?
Cast iron shrimp from Capitol Grill is fancy. I didn't know we were at like Capitol Grill. I was originally at Outback coconut shrimp, but if we're going like fancier.
Oh, that's fine. No, that's fine. Wait, coconut shrimp over onion bloom, though? You like the coconut shrimp instead of the onion bloom?
Yes, because apparently after 30, onions stick with me a little longer, so I need to be mindful of
that. That's what's up. That's what's up.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
That's a good one, though. Look, listen, we're not too fancy for Outback. Don't get me wrong. I just thought that what we saw last night was such a high level of, let Michael tell it, exhibition basketball, that I thought it deserved a fancy comparison to Capitol Grill, because we were just talking about Michael, that's what you said. Basically, Michael trying to say that last night, I didn't say that should not count toward playoff stats because it's not the playoffs. If you don't start with okay, this is what he said. I'm gonna speak for him like he ain't here. If you don't start in a series 1 through 8,
in a series,
it's not the playoffs. If you have to play to get into the playoffs, I think it's become an expanded playoff. How do you view the play-in tournament?
I'm with you, Smith. This is an expanded playoff, but I am reminded in this new structure that as humans, it is our nature to be resistant to change, and that's okay, because we all have therapists and we all gonna work through it. But this is the new playoff structure in my mind, and so I'm with you. Last night, to me, counted as a playoff game. It felt like a playoff game. Someone actually posed the question to me, was there more like a game 1 or a game 7? I'm like, easily a game 7, because you had things on the line. It is rare, probably, that we have that much star power in terms of LeBron, AD, and Steph in such a game. But this is the new era. I personally hope the play-in is around to stay, and this is the new playoff structure.
All right, I just want to be clear. So when we're doing the season recap, we're doing the Charlotte Hornets, like old school. They used to do the team yearbook. We're doing the Charlotte Hornets team yearbook. Be like, listen, it was a successful year in North Carolina. We made the playoffs. We're going in the right direction. No, y'all didn't. Y'all ain't make the playoffs. Charlotte, they lost their last game by 50 points? And then we celebrating that? Come on. We made the playoffs.
You know what, Monica?
Okay.
Monica, when he put it like that, it kind of, I was like, ooh.
I know.
I was like, ooh. Ooh.
This has to be the whole statement. You got some print, guys. You can appreciate the difference between AP and regular writing. I don't know what you're doing. So in the whole statement, it has to be 2021 was the year that Charlotte made the playoffs in the first year of the new structure as the 9 seed, as the 10 seed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. That did. Yeah. All right. Moving on. but okay. So the other thing we were talking about, weigh in on this if you will. I know it was one game and it was against the Lakers, and they don't have a whole lot of star power. Although I do think we need to put a little bit more respect on Golden State's so-called less. This Steph doing more with less. It's just fewer people you've probably heard of. But Bob Myers and Steve Kerr have done a phenomenal job with that roster. Having said all that, though, I know it was one game, but Monica, Anthony Davis went 0 for 7 with Andre Drummond on the court. He went 1 for 11 with Drummond and Montrezl Harrell on the court. Clearly, they're best when he's playing the 5. I thought that along with the fact that both he and LeBron, Anthony Davis and LeBron, are both healthy, maybe not 100%, but healthy, even as a 7 seed in a so-called wide open West, they're the favorite for me. It's back to where we started before the season. The Lakers are the favorite for me. For Michael, he doesn't think they're going to get it done. He thinks it's too hard coming from the 7th seed. He's actually got them going out against Phoenix in the first round. What say you?
Whoa. You're waving your hand.
Yeah, right?
No, first round. I'm saying first round. Yes. I have them losing. Hey, Monica, yes. I have, hey, beat me up on this, if you will, because I know, as we said, we got your jersey. We got your jersey in the background. You a true baller. Last time we saw your basketball that you actually put in the basket many times. So I know you can beat me up on this as a basketball scholar, but I have the unmitigated gall to pick a number 2 seed over a number 7 seed in the first round. Shame on, oh man, that's a hot take. A 2 over a 7. Look at it. What am I doing?
Monica, before you answer,
okay,
I need you to unmute your line and recognize this ain't MSG, this ain't ESPN, this ain't ACC Network, this ain't FS1. This brother from another. We glad you got dressed. Don't worry about your dog. Don't even worry. I mean, we got dogs. I got children running here all the time.
Okay,
you know what? Let that dog be free.
I appreciate that, but the one is she's just a little over the top rowdy, and it was just okay. But now I know I will invite her to join the conversation.
Yeah.
Here's what
yes,
don't even worry about that.
Here's what I will. Holley, you should definitely go put some money down in Vegas because clearly that's the payout if you believe that's going to happen because the 7th seed is clearly favored. I think that in a year that is so unusual, the chance for a young upstart team, or I should say a team led by young upstarts, to pull off an upset is tonight, in my mind, with Memphis knocking off the Warriors. Beyond that, I just think the rigmarole of a series, which you identified as what qualifies the true playoffs beginning, Holley, is just going to favor the experience that the Lakers have when it comes to that particular series. I think it might be fantastic. It could go 7, but I do think that the Lakers come out on top of it. And I got to agree with, okay, welcome to a safe space. So hang up. Hey,
we're good.
That's all good.
Oh, we good.
It's all good.
It's
That's
good,
what we do.
Listen,
Monica, the other day, this is why this is the blackest show on television, or whatever this is. The other day we started at 3:13. Okay, we started at 3:13. Okay, we didn't start at 3 o'clock. We started at 3:13. Okay, don't worry about it. We good. Let your phone ring. Just let them know. Let them know to tune in. You on whatever TV, whatever this is now. Let them know to tune in.
We started at 3:13, and the logic was, oh y'all trying to start at 3 for real? I'm like, you know that. We said 3, but that don't really mean who gets there at 3.
3-ish.
What you doing? And you could, since you're here early, you might as well help out. I mean, like, you coming at 3 o'clock.
Right. When we say, look, Monica, and brother from another, when we say we around the corner, that means we getting dressed. Okay, that's what that means. Yeah. So don't worry about nobody calling in. Yeah.
I know that for sure. I'm with you though.
Okay.
I think the Lakers. I think they pull it off. I think it's historic. I think we remember this is the first year of the real playing outside the bubble, all those things, and I think they pull it off.
All right, let's go to your backyard, because I'm sorry, Mike. You had something else on this series?
No, go ahead. No, go to Monica's. I like it. Go to Monica's backyard because I like that. I like where you're going with that. Go ahead.
Oh God.
Yeah, no. I mean, Michael and I were talking yesterday. We were already disappointed that that it's not Russ and KD reunited in the Eastern Conference 2-7 matchup. So now it's Wizards Pacers, who if they win, they're in the playoffs, Michael. They will have 1-2 games to get there. Respect, right? What do the Wizards have to do to avoid, we talked about appetizers earlier, getting our mouth all watered for some Russ and Bradley in the playoffs by the way they finished the regular season and all the records that Russ rewrote down the stretch? What do they have to do to avoid going 0-2 in the play-in tournament?
Well, I am concerned about Brad's hammy. I will say that. I think he is, of course, a warrior. Like, he's going to give it his best go, and I hope it's not something that's significant. Russ can't go cold. He's got to be productive. I know in the midst of the conversation about Russ's triple-double record, or passing Oscar Robertson, I should say, people wanted to holler about it being empty stats. But when you look at it, he put up triple doubles. That team won down the stretch, and this is a team that has had to bounce back after the COVID mishaps to rattle off the ones that they did down the stretch of the regular season. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was something like he had a 17 out of 21 triple doubles over that stretch, and they won like 16 of those games. So it was something crazy like that. So Russ has to be productive. I'm concerned about Bradley Beal's hamstring. But in the matchup between these two teams, when you look at some of the crazy numbers that the Pacers gave up in terms of Russ having like plus 20 assists, they were able, the Wizards that is, were able to take advantage of the Pacers in transition, getting up and down the floor, crashing the glass. Now, obviously there's a different level of urgency here. The Pacers want to be officially in the playoffs. And so in theory, paying attention defensively in transition is an easy adjustment. I don't know if it gets 100% executed, but the Wizards need to press that issue for sure.
I'm just wondering, like, we look at this, the top teams. Let's just go the top four in each conference. Is there a team that you look at, East or West, you say, I just want to see what they do in the postseason. I can't wait to watch them and see what it looks like. What team fulfills that description for you?
It's the Bucks for me, Holley. I have said that I think the East is, well, okay. I think the East title is the Nets to lose, but to me, the Bucks, it has been quiet, mind you, relatively around that team throughout the course of this regular season compared to when they were having regular season records and Giannis was going back to back as an MVP, right? They added Drew Holiday, PJ Tucker, two guys. Holiday, well respected across the league for his defensive prowess, but two guys that instantly give you grit and credibility. They are the most fascinating to me because this Miami series that they have to start with is not a sleeper by any means. You talk about grit. Like, that's the entire identity of Heat Nation, right? And I think there's a clip of Adebayo's talking about what happened last year and that looming over the Bucks' head. Oh, 100% it is. Like, this is a team that is now structured to be in the Eastern Conference Finals at a minimum. So I want to see, how do they respond to Miami? If they do wind up meeting the Nets, what does that look like? Have they figured out a formula to slow down all the firepower that they have? And Middleton taking the next step offensively, do they have enough firepower to meet it? So the Bucks is the team that I find most fascinating. The Nets are the team I expect to come out of the East.
Okay. So wait, Michael. So Monica, that was for the East. Who's your most intriguing team? Let's call it for the Western Conference. Because I love for you to answer your own question, Michael. But who you got for the Western Conference?
Okay.
Most intriguing would be the Utah Jazz for me. I've watched them. I won't say as close as I have, say, my Knicks that I'm watching all the time, but I have watched them pretty closely this year. And while the defensive stats bear out that they play great team defense, they're efficient on both sides of the ball, I am curious if they run up on a matchup with someone who keeps Rudy Gobert isolated, right? Like, either put a guy in the dunker spot so that he's in trouble in terms of help, or you mixing him up in a ton of pick and rolls. I have been concerned all season about the foot speed of the Jazz outside of Donovan Mitchell and Conley. And maybe I'm wrong. Think about matchups against like Miami when they had to contend with Bam Adebayo. Like, I won't say Rudy was neutralized, but the prowess that makes him one of the best defenders in the league takes a hit when he can't just jump out and help. And so, shooting threes, we love it. Listen, shoot them, let them launch. But that's probably one of the first things that may or may not get cold and get tricky in a series when you start battling fatigue. So I'm really curious to see if the Jazz regular season translates to the postseason.
You know what,
y'all?
I think
answer your own question.
Go ahead.
I got to go back at Monica on something real quick, but answer your own question first, though.
I was going to say just real quickly, Monica and Mike. I think I'm starting a sports sermon series today about teams that have been exalted before they won anything. They fail to meet the expectations. They're dismissed. People just forget about them. Then they come back to say, "This is why you talked about me in the first place." In the East, I love your example of the Bucks. The Bucks were that. In historic regular season, they fail in the playoffs. Giannis, is he overrated as MVP? All this nonsense. And now they're a third seed. They're kind of quiet. They're kind of sitting there in the cut. and nobody's really picking them to win a championship, to come out of the East. And then on the other side, the Clippers. Last year, hey, Kawhi, they got Paul George. Wow. They failed miserably in the postseason. They're chokers. And now, only reason Michael Smith wants to talk about the Clippers is to kind of scold them for avoiding the Lakers. Watch out. Watch out for both of those teams, Clippers and Bucks. I'm most intrigued by both of those teams.
Okay, Clippers is a good pick. Okay, what you got, Mike or Smith?
No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't even care about. I'm not even going to dignify. This how much attention I'm giving the Clippers. None. I was gonna go back at you because when Michael asked the question initially and said the top 4 team that more or less intrigued you, Monica, I said that's easy, and then you came back and was like, my Knicks, because that's who I would have picked would be the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Because so y'all ain't been in the playoffs in God knows how long. What, 2013? Got home court, and now in true New York fashion, already thinking big, already talking about, if you disgruntled, come to death row. You know, I saw that story the other day, talking about any disgruntled superstar the Knicks about to trade for him. You know, already, looking at it like this is the beginning of something big. I mean, that's the team I can't wait to see in the postseason. I can't wait to see postseason basketball in Madison Square Garden, because you want to talk about advertising. How many people around the league are going to be watching closely to see what Tom Thibodeau and R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle and that young team do in the playoffs? This could be something of an audition for the New York Knicks, right?
You're 100% right, Smith. And I think, so the other day I screenshotted the poll from another network we're not going to mention because I know how you feel. I got you. But 16 out of the 14 out of the 16 finalists.
I love her.
Right? And so I just screenshotted and put it out on Twitter. It popped a little bit, at least by my standards. I'm still new to the game. And a lot of folks were like, oh, this feels like the big setup for people to be like, oh, the Knicks blew it again, right? Because they have all these expectations. The Knicks did everything they were supposed to do. They got the best matchup they want for the first round. They swept the Hawks in the regular season. Do I expect them to sweep this series? No. But do I think this is where we solidify that Julius Randle belongs on all NBA, should have gotten some MVP votes in my mind, especially if you're having that conversation about Steph? Do we solidify that Julius Randle or RJ Barrett, could have been in the conversation for most improved 100%? Nerlens Noel is second in the league in block shots, right? I don't know if people really put together the pieces that have become a top 5 defense in the league. So I think the Hawks matchup is perfect for them. I think that they get it done is going to be close, but I do think that they come out of that. I think beyond that is where you get to the come to death row story, right? Beyond that, you begin to see, are there enough pieces? Because if you had to go superstar trajectory with this current roster, you've got Julius and you've got RJ, and it's a 3-headed monster league. So if that becomes enough to get beyond that, then like shout out to Tibbs, give him all the awards. Sorry, Monty Williams, you were second in my voting. But I think earlier in the season, we did an event for fans, and Julius said to me as we were having this conversation, we're doing things right. And I think whether it's the Knicks, whether it's the Lakers, whether it's the Clippers trying to avoid the Lakers, doing things right gets honored by the basketball gods. And so whether that pans out, or it has panned out with this 4th seed and return to the playoffs, but if that pans out in the free agent class of 2022, doing things right to me is attractive. And I don't care what you say, whether they're the butt of the joke or not, there is still no place like New York City, and there is no brand quite like the New York Knicks when it comes to NBA basketball.
All right, okay, if that's the case, and I agree, I love New York. I love the city. I love Madison Square Garden. I love the way this team's been playing all year. I really do. But if you say Brooklyn is coming out, Brooklyn's in New York too, and if you're saying Brooklyn's coming out of the East, hey, wait a minute.
I do.
You going to Brooklyn?
Basketball analysts, my paychecks aside, I do expect Brooklyn to come.
We're professional. Discussing our workload over a meal. Right. No, that's a professional opinion. Absolutely. No, I'm with you. Yes.
I will say, though, and this was hilarious, some fans tweeted me the other day, and they were like, don't nobody care about the Brooklyn Knots. And I hadn't heard that yet. I was like, oh, that's funny.
What if they win? What if
Okay,
they win a championship?
there will probably be a parade, but if you listen to folks that are from the city through and through, the parades wouldn't be attended the way that it's going to be attended if it had been the Knicks, right? Like, you have to respect them. Those guys have firepower. If they hoist the trophy, kudos to them. I think they have the talent to do it. They are hired mercenaries that went and blew up an organization that seemed like it had a good thing coming. Is that the formula? Maybe, but I still say that city, and if you could do it in blue and orange, man, you talk about legendary. Like,
I love it. I love it. And you know what? I'm rooting. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm so rooting against Brooklyn for many reasons. I'm rooting against the Nets because I don't want to see a championship parade in New York taking place for the Brooklyn Nets. That seems so wrong. You want to talk about the basketball gods. The basketball gods are going to be sucking their teeth and be like, oh, it's just something.
Believe
like,
it.
The Brooklyn Nets.
I'm kind of here
in New York City.
I'm kind of here for it because one thing New Yorkers do really well, one thing New Yorkers do exceptionally well is hate. And I would love to kind of just see the hatred, the pettiness. It's like they're related to the Lakers in that regard. Same way the Lakers just find any excuse to crap on the Clippers. I kind of would love to see New York and Knicks fans kind of hate on Brooklyn. I'd love to see what that looks like.
Knicks fans are thrilled with this season and the trajectory, right? But I'm kind of with you, Smith, in that I think that it will immediately elevate the reason that the guy should come here to knock off that team in this city and represent. I just think it's just elevating the competition. The stakes are raised. I think it makes the Knicks that more attractive personally. I know I would want to come and knock them off.
There's another, I agree with that. There's another superstar, budding superstar in New York that we would be remiss if we didn't talk about, and we're going to save the best for last. And you got the nice sweatshirt on. You got the WNBA 25th anniversary sweatshirt. We were talking about her yesterday. Sabrina Ionescu, youngest player ever with a triple-double in just her 6th career game. 10th triple-double in league history. 9th player to ever post a triple-double in WNBA history. She's incredible. I'd love to just know your broader, whether it's Sabrina Ionescu or just broadly, your early impressions of this 25th season for the WNBA. What's standing out to you?
Well, first, I'm like, wow, some of our best were out last year. I mean, when you look at the Connecticut Sun, Jonquel Jones puts up monster numbers in her first game back. She was tweeting about what the Prime Minister was saying in Bahamas, where she's from, all through COVID last year, and I had forgotten that. Liz Cambage for the Las Vegas Aces. I mean, Tiffany Hayes for the Atlanta Dream. Candace Parker moving from LA to Chicago. Chicago looks like they are about it already. And then, of course, the Seattle Storm, the reigning champs. So I'm just thrilled about year 25. Every chance I get, I'm like, count it, because that is like the best slogan possible. But when it comes to Sabrina, and shout out to Roz, who brought this to my attention over the weekend, actually, Roz Golangude pointed out that she led the NCAA in triple doubles, men or women. And I kind of forgot that. I also was of the camp that was like, Sabrina's great, but don't disrespect the W. There's still a learning curve. Baby girl done hit the gas, strapped in, like she's good on this curve, clearly. I think there's tremendous upside. And Sabrina and her teammate, Banaj Delaney, that two-man game, I cannot wait to watch it all season long, because I didn't count it per se, but I'm sure Banaj had a good portion of her assists, because she's just taken the next step in her game. She was most improved last year, and she continues to improve. Walt Hopkins, this team is talented. I don't know how well they're going to defend some of the more high-powered teams, although Minnesota is not a team to sleep on. But we got to see. And the other thing that's unique for the W this year is that Olympic break. So we could, in theory, see two different seasons depending on how people take advantage of that time off to stay healthy, to get healthy, whatever they may need.
You know what's it's crazy? This one last thing. This league is just so interesting. Like nobody, I was thinking this the other day. WNBA, nobody quite does it like the WNBA. If you just think about it, like Candace Parker, we had her on in the early days of the show, getting the Defensive Player of the Year award last year, then moving on to Chicago. Or Maya Moore, I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to fight social justice. I'm going to get married. I'm going to get my man freed out of prison, and we're going to get married.
If you don't let me learn, I don't want it. Sorry, Holley.
Hey, look. The Atlanta Dream, Atlanta Dream
Right.
and how they affected
Senators
the
elected.
senatorial race.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
mean, and then only in the WNBA, you see Breanna Stewart be like, hey, I'm getting married, to another. Like, it's always like there are people, players who leave
Some
for
incredible
maternity
stories.
leave.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. I just,
It's an
And I
incredible
like it.
story. It really is.
I have said this year, though, as I'm talking to folks, I will go to a baseball game, go check out the Nats. I definitely pulled up at both the Nats parade and the Washington Capitals parade. Can count on my one hand the times that I've been to both of those games, right? Like, can't necessarily talk X's and O's in terms of scheme, but they are part of the main sports lexicon, right? The water cooler conversation. You go because it's sports and you appreciate it. That's all I would like to see for the W, right? Like, I'm not asking you to know all 144. I mean, you guys obviously are hip to the product, but just in general, as sports fans, I'm not asking you to know every name. I'm asking you to go check out your local team, buy some tickets, buy a piece of gear, talk about the game the same way you engage in other sports, because the game itself is fantastic, but all the things that you just mentioned make these women absolutely phenomenal.
No question. Stories, personalities, social
right.
media presence. Follow them on social media.
Everything.
And you'll
Everything.
instantly have a connection. Follow Monica McNutt on social media if you're not already doing it. You're doing yourself a disservice. We appreciate you. What's your puppy's name? What's your dog's name?
Hoops, she's now down here. She just looked up. She was kind of asleep. She just come
Hold
here.
her up. Hold her up for a second, real
Hoops
quick.
with a Z? Hoops
No,
with
like-
a Z that used to kick it with Shaq back in the day?
Oh, it was it a Z? I forgot that, but she was named after that Hoops because she's that color.
Here we go. Here we go.
Ooh, got the same. Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
got the same
Oh, wow.
Say hi.
Don't get quiet now. Don't get quiet now.
I don't like men picking like that. Stop. Okay, bye.
Hey, come back soon. I know you're busy. You all over the place, but come back again soon, all right?
You got it. As long as I can show up at 4:33 for my 4:20 hit.
Ish.
Got it.
Ish.
Ish.
You ain't even got to call ahead.
We understand.
You got to call ahead. Just ring the doorbell.
Or just
Ring the doorbell.
Or
We're
just
good.
come through.
As a matter of fact, don't ring the
come
doorbell.
through.
It's open. It's already open.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
All right.